to share some of the things that we did on our mission trip. First Presbyterian Church represented of the group that we were with. We were the largest group that was there. So lucky or unlucky for our kiddos, there were a lot of us that were together and they were stuck with a lot of us adults as well, but it was a lot of fun to get to work with them. One of the places that my crew went each day, and I got to work with Meredith, was a place called West CAN, and it stands for West Side Community Action Network. Their mission, if you look at their website, their mission says to facilitate a creation of a safe, healthy, viable, civically engaged neighborhood in which to live, play, and work. They were started in 1994, and there was a lot of crime in the area. And it was actually developed from a concept from the Kansas City Police Initiative. They also house 2 police officers in the facility where we were at. They're not there full time, but they have an office there and they are on and off. There's a wide variety of individuals that have come together to form this West CAN, as we all refer to it. There was everything from housing organizations to the Kansas City Public Library. There's the Kansas City Neighborhood Alliance. There's a lot of civic, neighborhood, and business individuals that have come together to look at what can they do in the neighborhood. So again, reducing crime was one of the first things that they really wanted to be able to do. So we pulled up, and Meredith and I are caravanning, and we have several kids in our vehicle, and I do tend to get a little bit more nervous when I'm responsible for children that aren't my own than just when it's my own. And we had an address, but we didn't know what it looked like, and we pulled up and we parked underneath the interstate. So picture with me, if you will, parking underneath the interstate, which is not exactly what I would say a warm and friendly place to park. And I'm looking across the street at a building that matches the address of where we're supposed to be, and it has bars on the windows. And I'm realizing that I now have 6 kids in my car that I'm going to take out of my car. We're going to cross the street. There are several people, what I would call loitering, on the side of the street. So I gave my carload a little bit of stern talking to, and they were not to touch anybody, talk to anybody. They were to stay very close with me, and we were going to cross the street together. And they did great. So when we got into the facility, it was nothing fancy by any stretch of the imagination. And they were incredibly warm, they were incredibly welcoming, and their task for us that day, they told us a little bit about the facility. They work to provide a place when the homeless shelter in that part of Kansas City is closed, so it closes at 6 a.m. in the morning, and if you're in a homeless shelter, you have to leave the shelter. Their facility opens and provides you a place where you can come. If you have belongings, you can leave. They have a locker and you can leave your backpack. Where I saw people, what I thought were loitering, they were sitting outside waiting, where that area knows that if you need to hire someone for the day, so to go clean the large stadium in Kansas City, you want to hire maybe some farm type work in the area, you drive by, you pick up whoever is there, they're paid for a day's work, they're dropped back off. They then can use the facility. It has public showers. They're able to shower there as well. They pick up their belongings. They can go back to the homeless shelter when it opens again that night at 6 p.m. So they fit this need that's so important in that community, and it also and to give people the ability to work. So you can imagine that they shared with us how their crime had really decreased because they're putting a lot of hands to work. They're giving people a place to be. We watched an immigrant family come in, husband and wife, had nothing but what they were carrying on their back. They gave them clothes. When they went to the homeless shelter that night, they're split up because it's male and female. Didn't matter that they're married, didn't matter if they had a family. They go their separate ways for the evening. They could come back to West CAN for the day and they could be together. They would serve food at West CAN. The kitchen is nothing that I would necessarily want to eat out of. It was a very stark, very humble kitchen, but nonetheless they had a place where they could also prepare food for people. Our job that day was to clean out coolers. We drove a lot of miles to clean out coolers, and when they told me that's what we were going to do, I thought, how many coolers could you possibly have? There were a lot. The coolers were beyond dirty, so they brought out coolers, they brought out bleach, we started an assembly line. They wanted to be able to have coolers so that when they provide a picnic, when they go somewhere, that they can pull their own water, they can put ice in them. So I saw more coolers that day than I needed to see. And as you have a hose with running water and young, energetic kids, little of the water got outside of the coolers. So that's what we did for the day, and that was our service work to them. They also had books that they just needed sorted by reading level that have been donated to them. So they also look for, they offer a variety of community services. So anything from helping people with nutrition. They have done some diabetic clinics in their facility. When they're bringing families in, or if they're bringing moms in, they know that there will most likely be young children, so they try to have something for the children to do, which is where the books came into play. And so by sorting them, that helped them be able to send kids home with books as well, because they wanted to make sure that was happening as well. So it was an incredible experience. They have one full-time member that runs this facility, and he must never sleep. And there were people in and out constantly, and it was an honor to get to be a part of it that day. So that was West Side Community Action Network.
So I'll put this up a bit. Sorry, Tammy, you're kind of short. On the mission trip, my group, we went to several different places, but one of them was an urban garden. Well, two of them were urban gardens, and Marisela happened to be at one. And Marisela was at one of the nicer ones that we saw. It was in a neighborhood that had its own community center and a library that was next to it. And where the urban garden was, it was next to an old school that was shut down in an empty lot that they, I believe, tore the lot out of and then made it into a garden. And before they got there, that place was a place that crime happened a lot. And by making it into a different place for people to go and do something productive, it cut crime down in that neighborhood by 60%, in other neighborhoods like it. So there they had different members of the community could own a small plot, and they could grow whatever they wanted, basically. And it gave them something productive doing during the day. Marisela worked there, I believe, every day. She always had on long sleeves and pants so she didn't get cut up or any kind of chemicals or anything. It was very hot outside. And she was a very nice lady. She talked about how good this urban garden was for her community and how much she tried to help everyone. And she was just one person, but they had a wonderful network that worked there. And the old school turned into offices for them, so that was also put to use. And Marisela, she's just one lady, but she made a big difference there. People could ask her for help. She helped others learn how to garden who didn't know how to. And she put a lot of time and effort into that place, which I think goes to show that it doesn't take a fireman or a doctor to make a big difference. I'm sorry I don't have a lot to say about her, but I've only met her for about a few hours, but she definitely changed the community.
The summer reading program in Kansas City is a place where kids who aren't proficient readers can go to improve their reading. Locations were spread all throughout the city of Kansas City, as Kansas City has a problem with literacy in young children, and every mission trip team helped that program when they were there.
The group that I was in charge of went to a church called Children's Memorial Church. It was a Lutheran church run by a lady by the name of Pastor Ann. Having spent a week with Pastor Pam, getting used to saying Pastor Ann took a little while, but she was very understanding. Children's Memorial was started by, she told us, a group in Kansas City asked for donations to help build a church. And so what they did was put cans in children's hands and send them out in the community to raise donations. And these kids raised $130,000 in 1950 by walking around Kansas City. And that's how the church was built. So that's why it's called Children's Memorial, in memory of the kids that went out and actually raised the money. Children's Memorial is in a not so great place in location in town. The young men that I took there with me, we had to have a discussion about, we may see some things that maybe not would be that great to see, but it would be an eye-opening, you know, an experience in itself. It wasn't that bad. When we got there, Pastor Ann had just had a rummage sale, so a couple of the boys were in charge of putting all the rummage away that they didn't sell. And Pastor Ann's a hoarder, by the way. You may see her on TV someday. Then the rest of us, the older boys, we went outside. They had a flower garden outside of the front door of the church that she kind of wanted cleaned up. And so the older boys and I, we went to work on that. She had limited tools. We got it looking really good. She was very happy, but it just wasn't finished. It was dirt. It was landscaped around the outside and it had some flowers in it, and she was just so happy. And we said, well, do you have any mulch? And she said, no, we don't have any mulch. And she said, I'll see what I can do if I can get some people to donate some money, and maybe the next group that comes through, they can put the mulch down. And so I told her, I said, if we give you the money, will you go get the mulch? And she's like, well, where are you going to get the money? We said, well, if we give you the money, will you go get the mulch? And she's like, oh yeah, you know, and she couldn't believe it. So we gave her the money, and she went and bought all the mulch that she could get with the money that we had, and we were able to finish off the flower garden, and it was an awesome experience. And I think, you know, she was truly blessed by the fact that that flower garden was done, that every time they walked in and out of the church, they were able to see that. And so that was fun being able to do that. We also did some painting in the basement. It's kind of their commons area where they serve meals Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to the community, free meals. Again, it was a very disgusting place. It was gross. They get the free bread from a local grocery store, and they hand it out for free. Well, some of that bread had been there for a couple weeks. Some of it you could beat people with it. It was so hard, and some of it was moldy, but so we kind of started to clean that stuff up, get rid of the bugs. We painted it Hawkeye gold, which was pretty cool, I thought, but it brightened up the room. And again, it was something very simple, as we only painted half the wall because they had paneling around the bottom half. We hung up a large picture of Jesus that somebody had made for her, and she never had the opportunity to get it put up because it was falling apart. So we put it together, made it stronger, hung it up on the wall. It's just little things like that that didn't seem like a big deal, but we realized that when we left there that we had made a difference. And as people came in, you know, something as simple as yellow walls, they were like, that's so awesome, it's so bright and beautiful in here now, and that picture's awesome, and the flowers outside. And it was something that, you know, we did for 2 days and for 4 hours each day in the morning, but made a big difference in people's lives, and I'm sure they're still enjoying it today.
Later on that week, Tammi and I split up. Tammi was actually able to go see Pastor Ann and help her there, and some of my kids and I got to stay where we were staying, the church. And one of the church members started a mission at their church to put together Plarn, which Ian is going to show you that it's plastic yarn. You just take our grocery sack, cut it up, and make Plarn, which there are examples in the coffee hour and people crocheted that to make a mat, which was given to a homeless person. And so we were able to do that for 2 mornings of the week we were there, and it was just an amazing experience to know that we were doing something to help homeless people.
I like making Plarn because it was fun, because it was something to do, and it was for homeless people. And it was durable and comfy. We made Plarn balls to make the mat, and me and a couple of the youth did it, and it was really fun to do.
And a side note to that, one of the things at the end of the week that they encouraged us to do is not just finish our week out, but to think about ways that we can continue what we learned that week and bring it home to our own community. And so our goal is to possibly start a Plarn group here at church so that we can start making those. So you'll hear more about that. So start saving your garbage bags. Don't take them back to recycle at Hy-Vee. Start saving them, and we'll have a bin here to start collecting them. So side note on that. And mine, I'm talking about Della Lamb. Emma and Micah mentioned a little bit about it. It's an amazing organization, community service, serving low-income Kansas City since 1897. It's a Methodist-based program designed to create self-sufficiency through education, job training, and supportive services. And one of the newest things that they have started that they shared, besides the school charter, which the girls talked about, there were kids there from all over the world, is they have a refugee program where they literally bring in refugees and get them established into the community. They find them a place, they get them a job, they get them, learning English if they need to do that. In 2014, they served 39 families in doing this, which is amazing. And some of the kids go to the school, some of them, they do things giving them school supplies and that kind of things. But this organization goes way beyond that. I mean, it's hard to describe all the different things they did because we didn't touch on some of them, but the school supplies was one of them. We sorted, the girls did counting of books or something like that in a closet because for Thanksgiving and Christmas, they reached like over 1,600 families. They give turkeys and groceries, and they turn around and do that at Christmas time too. But then besides that, they serve that many also at Christmas time, along with giving toys and gifts and books and stockings and clothes to all of those people, which is an amazing organization. They do transportation for the refugees' kids to where they need to go. They give transportation for all the kids coming to this school. They provide all the school supplies for the kids and 2 meals plus healthy snacks. They really encourage that kind of stuff. So it's an amazing organization that reaches a lot of people in need in the Kansas City area. So thank you.